Hi everyone, I'm here today to talk with Minister Judy Seaman, who is the chair of the Education and Exponents Committee, and she's going to talk to us about a new course which is called TPS2. So hi Judith.
Hi Alf.
And we're going to be exploring what it's all about. It's an exciting new course. It replaces SD4. So I'm going to begin by asking Judith to give us the main points about TPS2 and what it's designed for. Judith.
Thank you, Al. Well, TPS stands for the Teachings and Practice of Spiritualism. For the PAS level, accreditation level, we did the Teachings and Practice of Spiritualism 1. So this course is aimed for certificate level for both speaking and demonstrating. So it's the next step, if you like, in the progression of moving from accreditation to an award, CSNU, the Certificate of Recognition as a Speaker and Demonstrator. So the first section of the new course, excuse me, was really inspired by the spirit world. And it's something that's never been taught in an education course previously, to my knowledge. And it's how does becoming a spiritualist change the way you live your life? And I don't think that anybody's really ever thought about that, certainly not as far as teaching it. And I suppose the spirit world felt the same because we were strongly getting this inspiration. So the first section is more or less inspired by those in spirit world. And it's based around the 7 principles, but they've taken the principles and expanded on each one of them and put forward thoughts and ideas about how that particular principle could support us, inspire us, living in today's modern world. And I think that's very exciting because in 2013, we had this ruling by the law lord, Lord Toulson, where talking about the service of public worship should include that the speaker teaches the congregation, that's my word, it was not his word, how to live their lives in accordance with the religion that which they follow, which for us is spiritualism. So it's almost as though these two things have kind of come together in a way. So it puts big emphasis now on the job of the speaker in a service, because this is the speaker is the person who's going to deliver this message. How does it change your life? So someone comes to church either for a message, a communication from someone that they have lost, or for healing, or just out of interest to try and find out what goes on in a spiritualist church. But if they are listening to this communication about that the people who have passed to spirit live on, and the evidence proves that, eventually through their evidence they will decide or not whether they believe and then know without question that when we die physically, we live spiritually, that we continue, that part of us that is non-physical moves on into the spirit world. So that means that we are indestructible, invincible, and eternal. How does that change our lives? How does knowing that, not believing, but knowing that from the evidence we've had, how does that change the way we live our lives? And that is a message that now is very much bringing forward the role of the speaker within the service in our churches to deliver that message. Through the inspiration of the spirit world, they have provided for us amazingly from each principle 7 statements. When we were doing this together, Minister Stephen Upton, myself, we suddenly realized this was happening. And amazingly, from each principle came 7 statements. And we've called these the principle message cards. And they've been illustrated and the statement is on them. So they're now tools for people to work with for their address. Living statements to use instead of just saying a principle in an address, expanding on it, sharing with it with the people in the congregation. And also, following on from that, we have put together a set of key events cards, which is a modern way of providing information about the history of spiritualism. That again, a speaker could take one and use that as a prompt card within an address. So they've got useful tools which they can use to deliver something which touches the people listening, that inspires them to think about what becoming a spiritualist really means. And this to me is a huge step forward, something that's never been delivered in a course before, and obviously clearly something that the spirit world wanted us to address. So the whole first section is based on that, Alv. And to me, it's the key of this course. It's where we start.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, it is. And we feel very excited about it. And then we've moved on for another section, looking at the difference between meditation, attunement, and inspiration, because sometimes these get very confused. People think that they're attuning when they're meditating and meditating when they're being inspired. And so we've sent a section on looking at the difference between these faculties that we use: meditation for the self, attunement for getting in touch with the spirit world, and inspiration for allowing the spirit world to bring thoughts into our mind so that we work together as a team to deliver the message of spiritualism. The next section, section 3, is all about speaking mediumship, because speaking is mediumship. The inspiration that flows through the speaker is a message for everyone. Only a handful of people will receive a personal message in a service. So the address needs to be a message for everyone, something that they can take away, think about, and perhaps help them in their life. Section 4 is developing communicating mediumship, and looking here in particular at the difference between what we call generic evidence and really specific evidence. The specific evidence that ensures that the people know without question who is communicating with them. We kind of have a little bit of a smiley in that we used a saying, and it's almost become a catchphrase between Stephen and myself. I feel I have a man in a brown suit. And we laugh about this because it was something we had said in a service. And first of all, how can you feel a man in a brown suit? So also, as well as trying to put the emphasis on specific evidence, that what we say needs to be clear, that we are saying, are we really feeling it, seeing it, hearing it, being more specific within the way we deliver the information, and how focusing on providing the information in the beginning before we're looking to link to a recipient, but to get some really good specific information that should seek to fit, no, I'll rephrase that, some specific evidence that should only relate to one person in the congregation. So specific. If I was communicating from the spirit world with you, Alv, I would know the kind of things that we would share. I'd talk about cats because we both love cats.
Absolutely.
And so
yeah.
the Yeah, the communicator knows what the recipient will respond to, and therefore knows who the communicator is. And therefore we should be finding that recipient and respondent really quickly. So emphasis on things like this. Included in it is the aspect of presentation from the platform, the public speaking aspect, which was the old SD4 course, but it's been modernized and again made more appropriate to today's world. And then again, something new in a course, a whole section on SNUI and working online, because working online is different to working in a church or a demonstration environment, a real world environment. And so we've, during the time that we've not been able to do real world assessment boards for people for their awards, we've done a lot of work on Zoom. And it's become very apparent that the people coming forward for those boards were not familiar with working online. So therefore, we put a whole section in the difference in the approach for working online to working in what we call real world situations.
And I think, Judith, as well, it's worth mentioning that although that's very fitting for the time that we're living in at the moment, I think we've all become accustomed to working online. And I'm hoping that the virus goes away as quickly as possible. However, I think once it has, we will still be working online a far greater deal than we have in the past. So I think this is really going to stand the test of time and support people well into the future, because the way that we deliver spiritualism, I think, has changed forever. So it's such a good move to include this to prepare people for the future.
Well, it enables us to reach a far bigger audience, a connection with people around the world. So why would we stop doing that, Alv? Yes, our churches are our ground roots where the people can go and talk and receive healing, which again has been an issue during these difficult times. But we've managed to even get around that to some extent. Working with distant healing, and which is equally as powerful as contact healing. If we can do absent healing, then we can do distant healing. Harry Edwards was fantastic at distant healing. I remember speaking to a lady who was in hospital in Australia, and she talked about how she saw this man come to visit her. It was when we used to have screens around the beds, the curtains that you pulled around. So it's going back a little while. And the curtains were around her bed, and this man came in, white-haired, white coat, and spoke to her. And then he left. And when the nurses came in, she said, "Oh, the doctor's been to see me." And they said, "No, he hasn't." "Oh, he has. He was here." And she described him. "No, he hasn't been." And this was Harry Edwards, a vision she had when she saw his book later. That was what she saw. He was so powerful in his work to heal that he actually projected an image of himself that this woman could see. And so to me, that proves that we don't have to have hands-on. We can do the work. Healing is not restricted by distance whatsoever. And so getting around this during the lockdown and subsequent months afterwards, we've got round to still being able to do healing upgrades. We've done 39 healing upgrades, 39 new approved healers since lockdown, which I
It's
think is
great.
amazing under the...
It's brilliant.
So and awards also. Some have done healing CSNU on DSNU. So it's not become the poor relation at all. We've been able to continue to work with this, finding a way around how we could do it.
And it really is a demonstration of eternal progress within the movement. We've adapted, we've changed, and I think TPS2 is really supporting that going forward to ensure that change is always there in a healthy and appropriate way, helping us to stay ahead of the curve, if you like.
And I think it's not a coincidence, Alv, that this course has suddenly come into our lives now at this time when we needed something different. And as I said, the spirit world have played a huge part in it. We've been inspired, even when we've been putting things together, and we've been a bit stuck. And Stephen said to me, "Go on," and it's like some words come out of my mouth, and I'm not talking about anything weird and wonderful. Just simply, just finding the right words, just letting them come into my head. And to me, that's inspiration in action, just allowing them to be able to be a part of this. And inspiration is so much a part of what we deliver, because we think of the demonstrator working with the spirit world to deliver the evidence, but the speaker works with the spirit world to deliver the true message of spiritualism. So inspiration is working really, and I think highlights the importance of the address in the service, because so many people over recent years, I think, have come to church. Let's get the address over and done with so we can get to the messages. But the message is in the address. So this course is aimed at CSNU level, to those going for CSNU speaker. And of course, they must get the speaker to have the demonstrator. So we can have a speaker, a standalone, but to be a demonstrator, CSNU, you have to also have the speaker. And that is, we're fully intended, aimed at, to deliver the message to everybody.
I think that's great. And I think it's really supporting the future of spiritualism. It's helping our exponents to really give a stronger representation of what our religion is to all those congregations. So huge impact there. And I know I've had a chance to look ahead at TPS2. And at first I wondered, is it going to be SD4, perhaps with a few bells and whistles on? But actually, as you said, it's radically different. This is a brand new offering. And so I think for people on their educational and development journey with their mediumship and with their speaking, this, again, like TPS1, is an exciting step change within the union. And I think it's great that we have all those tools that go along with it to really enhance and deepen the learning journey that they go on as well. So Judith, can you tell us when TPS2 will be available for people to begin?
Well, we are hoping that it's the 1st of November. We're just dependent on the workload at head office because of the AGM being in October instead of July. But we hope that it will be ready for 1st of November available. And once again, it's been done on the same basis as TPS1. The teaching in the content of the course is then strengthened through the practical training. So we've written a training manual for all the trainers, so everybody's getting the same training. Those training tutors who are doing that training, I'll say that sentence again. The trainers who are doing that training will have all the tools, such as items for discussion, because there's quite a lot of discussion in the training to help people to be able to talk about things. So they've got subjects for discussion, they've got the key events cards, they've got the principal message cards, they've got their training manual with all the suggested tools that they'll need. And then having done that, when the student comes through to their final assessment board, the questions that they will be asked on that board will have been asked of them in the training. So if they've done the training, they will have the answers. And so what our job as the Education and Exponents Committee is to enable people to get their awards. And that's what we're trying to do, to give them all the tools that they need to be able to achieve their CSNU.
Brilliant. So the best thing for people to do is to check our website, which is snu.org.uk. And as soon as TPS2 comes online, you'll be able to join, enroll, and start your journey moving forward, strengthening your speaking, strengthening your mediumship, and just delivering the religion of spiritualism to so many people, whether that's here in the real world or whether that's online. It's going to cover all those areas, and it will just help you well into the future. So I'm going to thank Minister Judith Seaman for talking to me today and explaining about TPS2, and I hope you all out there enjoy doing it. Thank you, Judith.
Thank you, Al, for the invitation.